Placone.com. It's ronplacone.com, right?
Yes.
So Jim Acosta's in the news, and because he had a big dust up with Donnie Tanahans, and so I just wanted to show you. We talked about Jim back in August 2nd, maybe we did a video on Jim Acosta because he was going to these Trump rallies, and he was upset that the Trump people were flipping him off. And well, here we'll play a little bit of it. So these guys are all screaming at him. They're flipping them off. This guy's screaming, "Tell the truth." And so Jim Acosta, he tweeted that out, and he says, just a sample of the sad scene we faced at a Trump rally in Tampa. I'm very worried that the hostility whipped up by Trump and some in conservative media will result in somebody getting hurt. We should not treat our fellow Americans this way. The press is not the enemy. So that's him. And Jim Acosta is a grandstander, and he's not doing real journalism. And what he's doing is trying to prop himself up to become a more famous news guy. And that's exactly what he's doing, because I showed you this. This is from a guy, Evan Axelbank from Fox 13. He says Trump supporters can boo and say forever that they hate CNN and Jim Acosta. But after the cameras are off, all I see is them asking his opinion on everything under the sun and if they can take pictures with him. It's quite a phenomenon, and he handles it like a pro. So that's kind of who Jim Acosta is.
Jim Acosta has experienced this very unique phenomenon of being a public figure, and some people like you and others don't.
Thank you for breaking that down.
And I also showed how the first time I heard people screaming CNN sucks, it was at a Bernie Sanders rally. So now that's the left and the right. Both hate CNN. They hate the establishment media. The establishment media sucks, which is why we have a job. Which is why this show exists. Which is why all the YouTube shows exist. Which is why the Young Turks existed. Or exist. It's because mainstream news media sucks. Sucks. And it's not hard to do a better job than them. It's not hard. They have huge budgets. They go out to do a story. They got a producer. They got a camera guy. They got a host. They got assistants. They got editors. They got everything. Drivers. I bet they have a helper. And this is, I just want to show Jim. So Jim Acosta got into it with Trump, and it was a nothing. I don't want to play the whole thing. It was 5 minutes long, right, Ron?
Yeah.
And we watched it. It was like nothing. It was just Jim Acosta grandstanding. And so here it is. Here's the big thing.
Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Excuse me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other question, if I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you?
So that was a big thing. See, where that woman came to grab the microphone out of his hand, they said he hit her. If you watch it again, watch that. They say he hit her.
Mr. President, if I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am.
Excuse me. That's enough.
Mr. President,
So now, so the Trump White House is saying he hit her, and CNN, after that happened, CNN issued this. They go, this president's ongoing attacks on the press have gone too far. They are not only dangerous, they are disturbingly un-American. While President Trump has made it clear he does not respect a free press, he has sworn an obligation to protect it. A free press is vital to democracy, and we stand behind Jim Acosta and his fellow journalists everywhere. Let me just say, this is all bull. Because if they really cared about a free press, they would be saying something about Julian Assange right now, and they're not saying anything. Julian Assange is the real thorn in the side of the elite. Julian Assange is, which is why they want him dead. Nobody wants Jim Acosta dead. Nobody cares. And okay, so here's another thing that CNN released. The White House announced tonight that it has revoked the press pass of CNN's chief White House correspondent, Jim Acosta. It was done in retaliation for his challenging questions at today's press conference. In an explanation, Press Secretary Sarah Sanders lied. That's what they say. She provided fraudulent accusations and cited an incident that never happened. This unprecedented decision is a threat to our democracy, and the country deserves better. Jim Acosta has our full support. Where was CNN screaming when Barack Obama was using the Espionage Act more than any other president before to go after whistleblowers and journalists? Where was CNN screaming then? When someone was actually prosecuting journalists, where's their what are they saying about Julian Assange? Nothing. You know how many things Julian Assange has had to retract for it being untrue? Zero. You know how often CNN has to retract stuff for it being untrue? Almost on a daily basis.
Why does CNN only call out politicians' lies when it affects them personally?
Right?
Why do they only? I mean, man, that wasn't neutral. That paragraph's not neutral. They're addressing something for what it is. Why can they only do that when it affects them personally?
So when they said Sarah Sanders lied, Sarah Huckabee Sanders lied, they would say that, well, Tom Brokaw would say she overreached.
Mm-hmm.
She overreached.
Yep.
They would say she gave controversial statistics. They would say things like that. Go ahead.
You can't help but think about, isn't it the same network that allowed Corey Lewandowski to be a contributor?
Steph, this is such a great point. This is the same news organization that paid Corey Lewandowski $500,000 while he was still being paid by the Trump campaign. This is CNN, who brought on Jeffrey Lord. Remember that guy was another guy. Jeffrey Lord, Corey Lewandowski. How many cretins do you guys want to put on your network and call it news? So here's
and you know what? Let's all just take a moment to also highlight how Les Moonves is complicit in helping Trump come to power.
Yeah,
because what did he say, Jimmy?
Steph, that's another great point. The reason why Trump is in power is because of the news media. Because they covered everything he does. They gave him $2 billion in free media. And as we showed you, Les Moonves was caught on an open microphone laughing about it and cheering Trump. Grow, baby, go. Run, Trump, run. It's bad for America, but it's good for CBS's profits. That's what he said. And everybody laughed and cheered. And now the establishment news is like, oh, my God, he's such a bad guy. You guys love him. You love him because he's great for your ratings. Here is so there's a controversy about this video. They say Sarah Huckabee Sanders put out a video that was doctored by Breitbart. Did you hear about this? So watch this. So this is the different video. There's no sound on it. This is the one that Sarah Huckabee. So it shows Jim Acosta. And it looks like he's being rough with her. Now, someone said this is doctored. I don't know how it's doctored, but they say it is. That they took some frames out to make it look like he hit her harder. Well, here's what they say. The following statement has just been released by WHNPA president. That's the White House News Photographers Association, is appalled to learn that the White House spokesperson may have shared a manipulated video of CNN reporter Jim Acosta's interaction with a White House intern during a news conference. As visual journalists, we know the manipulating images is manipulating truth. It's deceptive, dangerous, and unethical. Knowingly sharing manipulated images is equally problematic, particularly when the person sharing them is a representative of our country's highest office with vast influence over public opinion. Yeah, if they ever lied, the White House, if politicians ever started lying in Washington, the whole democracy is going to fall down. So that's what they say. They say that there was some doctoring of that video. I just showed you. I think it's all ridiculous.
No, ridiculous is an understatement for what all of this is. It's a prime example of it's a big elite club that nobody's in, and it's just this false conflict to make people pick like you're resisting if you choose a side between the corporate media, Victor, and Trump, Frankenstein. So it's absolutely ridiculous. And you know, this has been going on for a long time because when Trump told everybody to turn off their cameras at the White House, they did. That should have been the headline. That should have been the headline. Trump, a president, told everyone to turn off their cameras at a press briefing, and they all did. And they said, please, sir, don't deny access.
Here's the New York Times. Let Jim Acosta do his job. Where's your editorial? Let Julian Assange have his freedom. It isn't there. So this is just all partisan, crazy bull. This is all circus. If they really cared about principles of journalism and the Trump attacking the press, they would be screaming about Julian Assange, and none of them are, and none of them screamed about Barack Obama's prosecution using the Espionage Act to go after whistleblowers and journalists like he did. So this is crap. This is circus. This is CNN making money off of Jim Acosta's grandstanding. That's what this is. I like what Michael Tracy, a friend of the show, I don't know if you can read this. He said, it would be easier to defend Jim Acosta's right to access people in power if he produced something of value, such as a genuine adversarial journalism, rather than infantile TV brawl entertainment. Which is what Jim Acosta does. And again, this is not defending Trump. This is pointing out the ridiculousness and the hypocrisy of the news media. Okay. Jim Acosta asks unintelligent questions but happens to annoy Trump, so has been annoyed at a journalistic hero by idiots.
That's a pretty good tweet.
Right.
And that's where we are. That's where we are. There's another one. Jim Acosta is noxious because he's caused large sections of the public to equate genuine adversarial journalism, good, with pointless theatrical crap, bad. Agreed. Here's one more. Asking questions aggressively and even rudely without exhibiting respect for the person you're questioning is 100% legitimate when it's done correctly. See UK's Jeremy Paxman. But that's not what Acosta does. He's pantomiming journalism to create sound bites for entertainment purposes. Boy, he's really nailing it, this Michael Tracy. He's right on about that. So that's happens to be the position of us over at the Jimmy Dore Show. So there you go. There's the point of view you're only going to get from probably Michael Tracy or probably this show. I don't know where else you're going to get that point of view. But, I mean, I'm sure I'm on the right wing. You might hear something like that. They all hate Jim Acosta.
Mm-hmm. But we don't like any of the parties involved. It's like when you see that argument at a bar between two jerks and you're like, is there a way for both of them to lose? Can both of them lose?
So this is
right.
So this is one of those situations where people can't get it in their head that there's no good guys. So that's just like with the Mueller investigation. Yeah, maybe there's no good guys. Meaning Trump, the Trump administration, Mueller, the FBI, the CIA, Brennan. People can't wrap their mind. Hey, maybe they're all not good guys. Same thing. Jim Acosta, Trump, Sarah Sanders. Maybe they're all not good guys. So that's where I'm coming from. And this is theatrics. This is what Michael Tracy says. So again, this is not. And real quickly. What I've talked about this. I brought this up with Cenk Uygur because he went to the National Press Club and gave a speech a week ago or 2 weeks ago now, and they were really upset at him. They really took it hard personally, the stuff he was saying about the press. And I asked him, I said, did people attack you now by saying when you criticize the press, so they go, hey, that's what Trump does, because that's what they're doing. So now you're not allowed to criticize the press because people go, Trump does that. Have you noticed that?
I have seen that, and you can calmly remind people that people have been criticizing the press in academic circles since the 20s, and probably
absolutely.
before then.
Probably, not
trying to equate Trump with that, because what he's doing is totally different, but,
I just want to highlight at the Correspondents' Dinner 2 things.
Yes.
What was it, a decade ago when I had to watch David Gregory dance with Karl Rove and war criminals at the Correspondents' Dinner? And recently, didn't we have friend of the show, Randy Credico? He was at the Correspondents' Dinner, and during that dinner, he started to talk about Julian Assange to a room full of journalists, and nobody reported on it.
Nobody. He was up, hey, why don't we do something for Julian Assange? Why isn't anybody? And they handcuffed him and took him out, and nobody even reported that. A room full of reporters. You know why they didn't report it? Because they'd have to report what he was saying. He was shaming them for not standing up for Julian Assange. They're up there backslapping each other, giving each other awards for what great journalists they are and how good of buddies they are with the people they're supposed to be reporting on. You're a reporter. You're not supposed to be buddies with these people. You're the investigator. You're the CSI. And they're the guy who keeps loading cabbage onto his truck as you interview him. That's... Do you think you could stop to loading cabbage so we can talk about this murder you're involved in? No, got to keep doing the cabbage. You ever watch Law and Order or CSI? Whenever they go to interview somebody, they're always working and they can't stop. Anyway, okay.
And then at the last second, they remember something. They're like, "Oh, I did see something the other
then
week."
They stop, take their gloves off really slowly. Yeah,
we can get coffee.
So anyway, good job, Michael Tracy. Bad job, Jim Acosta, as usual. And the mainstream news media is letting us down, as always. Our next live Jimmy Dore show is February 1st in Burbank, California. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a list of all our live shows, and please become a premium member if you can. Become a patron. It's the way we support this show because they're coming at us, and we give you bonus. We give you hours of bonus material every week. Check it out. Become a patron. And if you can, make sure you're still subscribed. They unsubscribe people every day. I know it sounds crazy. It only takes a second. Please make sure and click that bell when you subscribe so they'll send you a notice